Flashing on your screen right now. A 3-year-old child was allegedly assaulted in a private school in East Bengaluru on Monday. The child was then taken to the Bowring Hospital after she complained of pain, and a case has been registered under the POCSO Act against a security guard at the school. There were protests at the school today, with parents clashing with police demanding action against the school management. This is almost a sense of deja vu, because around this time last year, a spate of similar cases in schools in Bengaluru led to an outrage among parents and civil society, with people demanding assurance that their children will be safe inside school. But this incident just shows all that anger and outrage has not translated into tangible safety measures. Joining me now from Bengaluru is my colleague Pratibha Raman, who has been reporting on the story. Pratibha, last July, August, we saw a similar outrage on the streets of Bengaluru when there was a case concerning a 6-year-old student at a very prestigious school in your city. Now, we have been following up on what steps have been taken at different schools in the last 1 year, because many cases were reported. Are we better off this year as compared to last year?
Well, in fact, Sudhir, to give you the number of cases that were registered under the POCSO Act, in 2013 we spoke of about 50 cases, out of which at least 15 attracted rape charges. And in 2014 we saw a massive jump. There were at least about 260 cases, and out of which 150 attracted rape charges. And this year we are talking of this being the first case that has been registered under the POCSO Act. And this has happened inside the school premises. So is this fortunate or unfortunate? Because clearly no lessons learned, despite having several of those safety guidelines that were implemented. In fact, the High Court came down heavily on the education department, stating that they need to introduce a committee that has to monitor this. In fact, a committee was even set up. But then clearly there has been no proper measures that have been undertaken in terms of seeing to it that the implementation has taken place in the right manner across all schools. In this particular school, sources do tell us that the CCTV cameras were kept in place, but what about the other measures that are now being investigated upon? And soon after which we will come to know about where the school really flawed.
Right, very important points that you've made, Pratibha, there. In fact, the number that you can call in to share your views with us is on your screen, 0120-480-7310. Join me also from Bengaluru is Revati Ashok, the member of the BPAC. Ma'am, we are calling it no lessons really learned as far as child safety in Bengaluru schools are concerned. Now, how close is it to the ground reality in the city's educational institutions?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that there are no lessons learned. I think there is sharper awareness of the issues involved and the fact of the potential of child sexual abuse, what causes it, what are the circumstances under which this happens. There is greater awareness on what are the kinds of things that we need to do to ensure children are protected. Media has also given a lot of coverage. But I would tend to say that action on the ground may not have been as much as we would like to see, because you need action on several fronts. We have to really tackle this at a war footing. You need securing of physical infrastructure, which through securing the spaces in which children are present, which is the school premises and during transportation. These are the two big areas where children have the opportunity to get themselves exposed. So these are areas that we have to be extremely careful. Apart from that, you need strong processes and systems which will ensure that strangers do not have access to the children. A number of schools in the city have made it absolutely mandatory to have photographs, and the persons who can pick up the children declared well upfront, and nobody else can pick up the child. Even an aunt or an uncle or a grandfather cannot pick up the child from several schools unless they are registered and logged.
Now, civil society and organizations like yours have done a lot of work in this regard, but where do you think, ma'am, the chain is getting broken? Because does it again come down to lack of thorough background checks done on staffers at the school?
Large country. we must continuously work, as I said, in securing spaces, in ensuring that the process and systems are there. Apart from that, extensive training and extensive awareness campaigns in all public spaces. So people need to be much more aware, and there are schools and schools. Some schools have taken it much more seriously and some schools have not. We have been saying that there really needs to be like a rating for schools in terms of safety. Just like you have a quality audit of schools, there should be a safety audit of schools. Again, through third-party agencies, so that there is no harassment by government officials. So there are ways and ways to do it. We have already, our team members have worked along with UNESCO to put up a child protection policy which is on the government website. We have requested comments from public, and these policies, after incorporating all the comments, will be made mandatory. But again, a number of safety measures will require a fair amount of investment, so we suggest that these be graded in 3 levels. Level 1, a base minimum requirement of security, level 2, where once they have got to level 1, schools can aspire to get to level 2, and level 3 is really the ultimate that we expect. At some point schools can graduate, and then parents can make a market choice whether they want to send children to a safe school or not, if schools have a safety rating.
Right, ma'am, you make a very important point about grading in different schools. We have our first caller on the show, Captain Rajat. Please go ahead, sir.
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening to you.
Good evening.
I just wanted to highlight that schools charge so much of fees to the parents, but when it comes to those basics of putting in the right security setup, and when I'm saying security setup, that is the least the school wants to invest in. If you go to some of the reputed schools also and see what level of the guards that are standing at the main gate, they cannot answer the first question that you ask them. The buses, if you see at the back, they put big numbers there. In case of so and so, please call. I am telling you with authentication here, if you call on that number, you will never get a good response from the other side. So I'm saying...
Okay, so you're pointing out to very significant lacunae, Captain Rajat. Let me get back my colleague Pratibha Raman, who has been reporting extensively on this particular story. Pratibha, we are carrying on air some of the pointers that need to be done, like CCTV coverage even of schools, buses, GPS tracking, background checks of staffers, of course, is a lot of talked about. Also schools that must issue identity cards even to parents and guardians. Now, you have been in touch with the education department. How many government and private schools are actually doing it? You said that a lot is better than compared to last year, but is it still good enough, and whether the government is really taking any action against schools which do not fall in line?
Well, in fact, last year there were at least about 180 schools that did not really follow all of these guidelines, and the police did come down heavily on them. And then there was some leeway that was offered. They kept extending the deadlines. But right now, one of the major concerns of many of the schools is the fact that they are undergoing a severe fund crunch, because of which they can't really follow all of those guidelines. But then they have been making some amount of efforts, especially in terms of having CCTV cameras or in terms of having these background checks done. So there are some of these measures that are being taken. But then in this particular case, Sudhir, let me actually bring up another important point that was raised in the guidelines, which is the fact that there would be only lady staffers who would actually escort some of the girl students, especially during their time of need. But then how did this particular security guard try to lure this child there and ask him to come and sit on his lap, going by the version of the victim as well as the sister? These are some of the questions that really need to be addressed, especially with regards to the school management that needs to be answerable to this state.
Right, Pratibha. We will continue to track this story very, very closely. In fact, very disturbing questions as far as child safety in schools in Bengaluru and in any other town and city in the country is concerned. Thanks a lot, Pratibha Raman and Revati Ashok, for joining us on Up South. We'll take a short break on Up South at this point in time. Professor Lakshmikant, who was abducted by ISIS militants in Libya and then released, returned to his hometown of Raichur today. He landed at Hyderabad airport this morning and was quite reluctant to share too many details about his hours in captivity. But he did say that the other two professors who were still in ISIS captivity, both of them from Hyderabad, are safe. But what was important is that Lakshmikant did not rule out a return to the troubled country, and also that, but for the fact that many members of the ISIS militia were his former students, things could have been very different. Let's listen in to what Professor Lakshmikant said in Hyderabad today.
First of all, I would like to thank all the Indian government and Embassy of Tripoli, Embassy of Tunis and Ministry of External Affairs here in Hyderabad. And nobody tortured us, nobody did anything, nothing wrong. They gave respect a lot. So other two professors, they were fine, and we are assured that, especially myself, and the Sheikh, he gave me, the Sheikh or the boss, whatever you say, the Sheikh means the boss. He told me that, don't worry about your friends, and he assured me that after once I reach India, he will send my friends also.
Now, are there some of the people who have been taught by you who are now part of this militant group?
Yeah, there are some students. There were some students whom I teach. I taught them, and I think last semester some of them are failed by me, and again they joined the subject once again.
The kidnapping of these professors from India has put the focus back on Indians who are working in troubled spots like Yemen, Libya and Iraq. In fact, Indian government had rescued many people over the past few months, almost 3,300 of them hailing from Kerala alone. But what is now surprising is that a significant number, over 1,800 of them, actually want to go back to the same troubled spots. Revati Rajivan has a special report from Kerala.
Shobha Kamakshi clearly remembers the day when people with guns barged into the hospital in Yemen, where she worked as a lab technician for 4 years. With unrest gripping the country, Shobha was among those who were flown back. But 5 months after her return, difficult conditions at home in Thiruvananthapuram means she is willing to return to Yemen.
എന്നെ ഡിപ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന എൻ്റെ ഫാമിലി ഓർക്കുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് എനിക്ക് അൺമാരീഡ് ആയ 2 സിസ്റ്റേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. ഒരാൾ ബോൺ ക്യാൻസർ ആണ്, ഒരാൾ യൂട്രസ് ഫൈബ്രോയിഡ് ആണ്, പിന്നെ എൻ്റെ അമ്മയുടെ അനിയത്തിയുണ്ട്, മെന്റൽ റിട്ടാർഡ് ആണ്. ആരും അവരെ നോക്കാനോ സംരക്ഷിക്കാനോ ഇല്ല. അത് കാരണം ഈ യുദ്ധം തുടർന്ന് നാട്ടിൽ ഇനിയും വിളിച്ചാൽ പോകാനുള്ള പ്രതീക്ഷയോടുകൂടി ഞാനായിരിക്കുകയാണ്. കാരണം ഞാൻ തൊഴിൽ മന്ത്രിയെ കണ്ടു, മുഖ്യമന്ത്രിയെ കണ്ടു, പിന്നീട് ഒത്തിരി പേരെ ഞാൻ കണ്ടു, മേയർ ചന്ദ്രികയെ കണ്ടു, പാളയം രാജൻ സാറിനെ എല്ലാവരെയും കണ്ടു. അവരെല്ലാം ഈ നടപടി എടുക്കാമെന്ന് പറയുന്നതല്ലാതെ ആരും ഒന്നും പറയുന്നില്ല. എല്ലാവർക്കും അപേക്ഷ കൊടുത്ത കോപ്പി വരെ എൻ്റെ കയ്യിലുണ്ട്.
At the other end of Kerala, in Kannur, Shenu works as a nurse at a private hospital in Bengaluru. But with a salary of 10,000 rupees compared to the 40,000 rupees she earned in Iraq, she struggles and wants to go back.
കുറേ പേര് കേരളത്തിൽ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. എല്ലാവർക്കും തുച്ഛമായ ശമ്പളമാണ് കിട്ടുന്നത്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് എല്ലാവരും ഔട്ട്സൈഡ് കൺട്രിയിലോട്ട് പോകാൻ നോക്കുന്നത്. ഞങ്ങൾ ലോണൊക്കെ എടുത്ത് പഠിച്ചതാണ്, വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ ലോണൊക്കെ എടുത്ത് പഠിച്ചതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് മുന്നോട്ടൊരു നല്ല ജോലി ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഞങ്ങൾക്കൊന്നും ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല.
The Kerala government admits there is a crisis. Over 1,800 of those who returned from Iraq, Yemen and Libya have registered to return to the troubled spots. This despite the government saying that these places are not safe.
We are of the view that these nurses are going to these places because of their financial situation in Kerala and their low salary from the private institutions here and their high repayment of loans, especially education loans.
Union Minister Sushma Swaraj and VK Singh have spoken with concern that those who were rescued want to return, with Singh even calling them greedy. But the situation on ground is clearly a question of survival. With camera person Jayakumar, Revati Rajivan in Thiruvananthapuram for India Today.
Osmania Hospital, the oldest hospital in Hyderabad built by the former Nizam of Hyderabad, will soon be history. That's because Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao wants to bring down the crumbling structure. But not many citizens are happy with this move to do away with the heritage structure.
It seems like a scene out of Munabhai MBBS. Patients, many of them with fractures in the leg and arm, are being moved out to the Osmania hospital in Hyderabad. The 105-year-old dilapidated structure, which has been crumbling at different places, will soon be demolished.
पैर में फ्रैक्चर हो गया, इसलिए अब ये शिफ्ट कर रहे हैं। 10 दिन से हूँ मैं यहाँ, अभी किंगोटी ले आते बोल के बोल रहे।
More than 800 patients will be moved out in batches to different government hospitals in Hyderabad. Last week, Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao had visited the hospital. Appalled at the condition of the hospital, he ordered immediate shifting of patients.
Patient will be positioned in Kinkoti Hospital and the further treatments will be given. But the overall supervision, arrangement and responsibilities and all that will be by Osmania.
However, many Hyderabadis are upset at no attempt being made to repair and restore this historic structure. They say the hospital built by the Nizam of Hyderabad needs the healing touch, not euthanasia.
नए अस्पताल की ज़रूरत है, तो उस्मानिया जनरल हॉस्पिटल के अतराफ में 7 एकड़ ज़मीन है, वहाँ पर इसको नया हॉस्पिटल तामीर किया जा सकता है। और बम्बई शहर हो या दिल्ली हो, यहाँ पर कई हेरिटेज के बिल्डिंग्स का हिफाजत हो रही है, तो हम कंजर्वेशनिस्ट को बुला सकते हैं।
India Today in the past has reported on how Osmania Hospital was literally going to the dogs, with stray dogs occupying space meant for patients. Lack of administrative care has meant the hospital in its present form will soon be history. With T.S. Sudhir in Hyderabad, Bureau Report for India Today.